This is Two Dudes Reviews, reviewing stuff you might find in a store. Two Dudes Reviews. One of us has hair, the other wishes he had more. Two Dudes Reviews.
Hey, it's Jave and Andy with Two Dudes Reviews. You're Andy.
I'm Andy. You're Jave.
That's right. By the way, you can see the video for this. Mike Protich from Red Sun Rising. See the video for this on our YouTube channel. And then Ken actually was in one of our other videos. Which one was it? Are we talking about maybe the Papa Roach album?
Yeah, the Papa Roach album.
Ken's one of these industry bigwigs, lives down in Los Angeles, and he's on the record side of things and radio side of things.
He's an all-around guy.
He's an all-around guy. Congratulations. Oh, and we're also reviewing the number 2 cigar of the year 2015 cigar aficionado, the Cuban Partagas Serie D number 4.
Serie D. Can we?
I like that.
Let's see if we can show that with smoke and all. That might look pretty good.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, but Andy's is not. It's a fake. So.
Andy's is fake. They gave me the dime store. They just put a new. They put a new.
They just put a wrapper.
They just put a ring on it.
We paid $1 for it down at the store over here. So.
Goddamn Zycar.
That is the best dollar cigar I've ever smoked. It's operator error, dude. It worked fine for the rest of us.
There you go.
So, Mike, new album.
Mm-hmm.
How's it going?
Man, we're stoked to get it out there. Like, kind of itching. We got the single out, Death Wish, and then we just released a second song, Fascination, on like the streaming sites and with a video, and we're just excited. We just can't wait to get it out there. It's like it's hard to hold back at this point. You know what I mean?
The album cover almost has like a Beatlesque kind of hippie dippy vibe to it, man, and I like that. It's obviously done on purpose. Listening to the album, I'm hearing a little bit of some piano calliope-ish stuff in there.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we're definitely huge Beatles fans, and there's multiple times over the history of this band, and especially on this record, where we referenced, what would the Beatles do, and we look at them for inspiration, which many people have, but yeah, I'm glad that you said that, because
by the way, Mike has the wristband that has WWBD on it. What would Beatles
That's true.
do?
That is true.
What would the Beatles do? I like it. Well, and on this album, you've got this little, is it a toy piano? What is that little?
We saw this.
That is cool.
It was like this little, the weirdest thing about it is we went to this studio in Grand Rapids, and it was like this shitty, I should say shitty, because the guy was amazing and he had good gear, but it was more of a like a hobbyist type studio. It wasn't a pro studio by any means, but it was inexpensive, so we could spend 2 weeks there and just record demos. And he had this little crazy piano. It was like kind of out of tune, and Rick started playing the song Evil Like You on it, and it was so creepy. It was like, oh my gosh, like we might have just summoned something, because that was so creepy sounding. We're like, we have to put it on the record. So we recorded it at that session in Grand Rapids, and then we went to the studio at Sonic Ranch, and they had one. We're like, what are the chances? I've never seen one in person.
Really?
This little, just handmade piano. And I was like, what are the chances that both these studios had one of these? So we're like, it has to go. It has to stay.
Wow.
And went on the record.
Fantastic. Yeah, an Evil Like You.
So that's the story of the creepy piano.
I like it. I love the creepy piano.
You can hear it very pronounced on Evil Like You at the end of the album, by the way. And some bizarre song titles. You have to tell me, Mike, what inspired you to write a song named Benny Two Dogs or El Laszlo, which, by the way, am I pronouncing that right?
Laszlo.
El Laszlo. One of the standouts on the album. Dynamite song. But what inspired Benny Two Dogs?
Benny Two Dogs is a real person. And it's a guy we know from Akron, and he's just one of those guys that no matter how hard his life gets, he's always happy, and he always gives to his friends, and it was kind of our paying respect to him just for being a good dude. And that's his nickname, which we created out of, that's a even longer story of where he got the Benny Two Dogs name, but
that's okay. We've got plenty of time with the cigar here.
Yeah, he's a real person, and I think that's why that song was so original, because no one else could write that song about him. It just can't happen.
Yeah, sure.
So
That's cool.
You get most of your inspiration for the songs that you write, Mike, based on just life experience, or is some writers like to write from going back to novels or history, or from a science fiction perspective, or sometimes politics. We're so divided in this country right now. But what do you typically reach for when you're looking for inspiration in songwriting?
I think it's just it kind of comes to me, and I don't want to speak for Ryan because he also writes lyrics with me. But for me, it's interactions with other people, or sometimes I'll write in the third person, or the perspective of someone that told me how they felt about something. So, like we have a song called "My Muse" on Polyester Zeal, which is a loved one watching someone suffer through addiction.
Yeah.
And it's from their perspective. So it can come anywhere, and the song "Stealing Life" on this record was, I've been affected by suicide. Not to make it this a heavy conversation, but I've been affected by suicide of friends and family.
Sure.
And then at the time, one of my heroes, which was devastating, which was Chris Cornell. So it's like that was a devastating blow, and that song was written about that and coping with that, and basically saying like, man, what was going on in that person's head? And it's like, would you even want to know?
Yeah.
If you could know what was going on in their head. So that's kind of what that song's about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting, man.
Yeah, it's brutal.
What do you think about the cigar?
Yeah, talk about
Yeah. Let's switch subjects.
Yeah.
See, in Cleveland, they'd go, let's talk. How about them Browns? Which is a huge joke.
Browns, right?
Did they win the game this year?
No, they had a perfect season. They had a perfect
season.
Yeah, don't rain on our parade, man. Perfect season.
Perfect season.
They threw a parade for that, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They actually threw a parade. But yeah, I like this cigar. It's not like super dry.
Nice, tight, not too incredibly visible seams. I definitely, it's not too toothy to the touch. It's got a nice kind of velvetish feel.
Is yours drawing well? Mine's kind of
a little plugged up.
It does have a good feel to it.
Yeah.
I did notice that.
Nice veins.
Nice
veins.
Real nice
When you
veins.
run your finger along the veins, it's just not overwhelming.
Nice settled
Okay,
veinage.
you're going to edit that out.
We don't edit anything out.
Overwhelming was an
That's
interesting
funny.
word to use.
That's why Jave has me around. Comic relief.
Pretty much. Pretty much. So you have your entire life, so they say, to write the first album. Did Polyester Zeal eclipse all of your wildest dreams, or did it do kind of what you were expecting it to do as far as the success of that album?
I mean, obviously, you always want to say that, you wish it could have done better, but I can't complain in the slightest because that record has got me to the next record.
Right.
And that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm talking to you guys, and we're proud of every single song on there. But just like any musician or any artist, once you start evolving and you look back at that work and you're like, I'm proud of it, but I'm ready to move on from it and get to this next thing. So yeah, it's we did have a long time to write that, and the cool thing about that record is it's kind of pieces from our past, bringing ideas from way back in the day and writing things right there in the studio, where we did a little bit of that on Thread, but most Thread was kind of in the moment.
Okay,
which is cool.
So pretty much all new material. You guys weren't pulling stuff from pre-Polyester
and
Zeal for this album.
Maybe a couple riffs, but not songs.
So how long did it take you to write Polyester Zeal? We just did another interview with Jonathan Davis, and his current album took him 10 years to get out. And so it brings now that question to the forefront of my mind. How long did it take you to write Polyester Zeal?
I would say it was over the course of if you want to count Emotionless and Blister that were written, in 2010 maybe, but we weren't writing, it's not like we were writing Polyester Zeal that long, we were just writing songs.
Yeah, sure.
So when it came to writing the record, the songs that we wrote for the record in the moment, maybe a couple months, but we had all that other material to kind of support it, and fill in the gaps where we, couldn't come up with anything.
Right. We've spoken to artists who, when they're preparing for a new album, they get into a jam room and they write their songs together in a jam room, and it starts off as a riff or whatever. And we've also spoken to artists who, everybody brings pieces of the project, pieces of a song together in the recording zone to build these songs. What's your approach on that? Does everybody get together to jam in a jam room, or do you kind of piecemeal things together, different ideas? Like this riff might go well with this.
Yeah, it was usually Ryan or I that would come with an initial idea, and then Ryan and I would sit down and hash out the general outline of the song. We'd write the lyrics together, and even if it was somebody's song altogether, one of us would always add that one thing that was missing. So that always worked. This is the first time that we tried to write in a room as a band, and I got to tell you, that first week was brutal.
Yeah.
Everybody's throwing their idea, their opinion, and I'm not going to lie, there were some fights, and but once everyone realized, like, look, if we just figure out, instead of focusing on trying to have the idea, let's look at the song and serve the song always, and everyone can have their opinion, but at a certain time. So I think once everyone found their role and what their strength was as a songwriter, like, Dave is just really good at finding little connecting riffs and chord changes to get to the next part. So like he focused on that, like those transitional things. Ryan's really good at the top lines with the weird effects and stuff. He's always been good at that. And obviously I write a lot of the melodies. So like once everyone found their thing, it started to fall together, and then it was smooth.
Yeah.
But that first week was rough.
You guys had such a grueling tour schedule around Polyester Zeal. I mean, you guys must have toured to support that, 2.5, 3 years, something like that? It was a pretty long process, right?
Yeah, it was almost 3 years. Yeah.
And any song you could just go the rest of your career without ever playing again on stage?
I'd say The Other Side.
Other Side, really?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just, even though, I wrote it, it's one of those songs where I don't really connect with it that much anymore. And it's weird to say, but Emotionless, that song evolves for me. Like even the meaning, like I know there was the meaning I had from my dream in the moment, but then you don't know what that means. Like when you have a dream, you don't know what a dream means. And that song was inspired by a dream. But the more I live and I think about it and think about what was actually being said and what was happening in that dream, I apply it to different things in my life. So that song like evolves with me. And but songs like that, when people really know it and the crowd sings it back, like even if you're sick of playing it, that breathes new life into it. Each crowd breathes new life into the song, so it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and you have to imagine if a song is popular, right? As much as you might not want to play it as a fan going to a show, right? I want to hear that song.
100%.
Right? We all want to hear that
Can't
song
deny
that we know.
Yeah.
And so it's probably some nights I would imagine it's got to be tough.
Yeah. But that's The Other Side's a good sing-along song. So it's a good.
Hey, Mike, if I can ask a question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Who were some of the bands that you were really into growing up? That kind of, I know it's maybe a little different take on influences, but what were like? You mentioned the Beatles, but some of the other bands that.
I went through like so many phases, and when I would get in a phase, I would hit the phase like really hard. So when I was really young, it was Aerosmith and like Steve Miller Band, because that was what was being played in Beatles. But that was what was being played in my house by my parents, and I just love that, and I love that the big guitars with big vocals. I started to like really love that. Then I found the grunge era, and I found like Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, and that was. I think those are the bands that made me want to make music, though. Right. So I always loved music growing up. We had a piano in my house. My mom would play, and my dad was always playing music. But until I heard like Chris Cornell sing and like Alice in Chains, that's when I was like, I want to actually do that. I want to be.
I'm sure you've heard that a lot of times people hear that first album, and that those are some of the bands that come back. They say it sounds a little bit like this or that. So it was obviously an influence for you.
Yeah, and then I went through my metal phase when I was in high school, and I was just like, I listened to metal.
What's your favorite metal band?
I listened to Fear Factory. Like I was obsessed with Fear Factory and Lamb of God when I was in high school.
Yeah.
But I mean, I love the classics. Pantera and Metallica, obviously. My mom threw away my Metallica Master of Puppets cassette because she thought it was satanic. It was that and my Tupac. I had a Tupac record.
Oh my God!
And she threw them both away and snapped them in half right in front of me.
I understand the Tupac, but the Metallica.
She thought they were satanic. She saw the crosses and stuff.
Yeah.
We're like, Mom, that's not satanic.
You guys could go out on tour with one band out on the road today. What would be like the ultimate to solidify in your mind? Wow, we've made it.
I would say Tool, or Perfect Circle, or System of a Down.
Are you a fan of the math rock, the proggy type of stuff?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Like I was a huge Rush fan.
Yeah.
I got to go see them for my 15th birthday.
Wow.
And but yeah, I like that kind of stuff. And Tool, I obviously love Tool. Yeah. Nothing else to say about that.
Right.
Who else? Who influenced? You have a very unique vocal style. Your voice is very unique. Were you always a singer?
Yeah, and you mentioned Chris Cornell. I would not just blowing smoke, but I would definitely put your voice up there.
You are blowing smoke.
I am
literally
blowing
actually,
smoke.
Literally, that's the one time this actually applies.
Yeah.
No, I just kind of wonder: is Chris Cornell, was he a major influence to your vocal styling, or did you just let it come out?
There was a time where I wanted to be like, I actually wanted to sound like Chris Cornell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Until people said,
You sound like Chris Cornell.
You kind of sound like Chris Cornell, and it was flattering at first, and it's like, I don't want to sound like exactly like Chris Cornell, and that was a maturity thing, and then and a confidence thing, and so I just started to like play with my voice, and I was like, you know what's just comfortable, instead of trying to make myself sound like that, what just naturally comes out, and I got better at being comfortable with just letting my voice do what it's going to do. And it's not only easier to sing that way because it's natural, but it created something that someone else can't replicate because it's my voice.
Yeah, you see these bands that go out and follow your grueling schedule. I think like Shinedown initially comes to mind, or Hailstorm, Lizzie Hale, and how hard she sings up on stage. And you see these bands at the beginning of a process, and then you see them a year and a half into the touring cycle, and the notes are a little flat. You can tell they're a little bit more haggard. In seeing Red Sun Rising 3 times over the span of, late 2006, 15 into 16, your voice actually sounded better the 3rd time I saw you in a smoky, dank little club than I think the first time I saw you. What do you do to keep your voice in check? I mean, I'm sure cigars and whiskey don't really help.
And it's funny, I do smoke cigars, not so much on the road, but I do enjoy cigars at home, and I love bourbon. But I think I'm just smart about it. Stay hydrated, and I've had mentors over the years. There's this guy Dave Brooks he lives in Akron, Cleveland area, and he was in a band called Slammin' Gladys, which they used to tour with Janie Lane and
the Warren
guys. And he's an incredible singer. And he's like 60 now, and he's still incredible. And when I was younger, he used to teach me how to breathe, stuff like that. Then I met Kevin Martin from Candlebox, and I did an EP with him, and he produced the original version of Emotionless.
Oh, no kidding! I had no idea. Yeah.
And I remember him saying, "Man, you're pushing so hard." He's like, "Relax and let the microphone." I never forget this. He goes, "Let the microphone do the work. That's why you have a microphone."
Interesting.
And I got used to like being able to relax my voice and still get these sounds with compression, not so much just being loud as humanly possible. And so I have my off nights, just like any other human being. But I'm getting better at being able to pace myself to deliver a good show every night.
Do you drink like hot tea before a show? Do you practice some vocal
only when I'm
runs
really
and
sick?
All that stuff? Really?
Yeah, I definitely do vocal warm-ups. But sometimes when you're just feeling really good, you're just like, I'm gonna skip my warm-ups, which I probably shouldn't do. But
I think one of the nastiest things I ever had was a Maker's Mark and hot water together.
Oof.
A buddy of mine used to drink this like it was going out of state. It was his drink of choice. It's just horrible. I would imagine it's probably not a bad thing for vocal cords, or especially if you got a sinus deal going
right? That
on.
warmth, but
really heats that whole
Makers
area.
and I mean bourbon, you heat it up. Nah.
Okay, so Manhattans or old fashions?
Oh, there you go.
I like old fashions.
Old fashioned.
Interesting.
Andy, you're a Manhattan guy.
I'm a Manhattan
Ken,
guy.
Crown
I
and
don't like
Seven.
either one of them. Crown and Seven.
Crown and Seven.
I definitely take a Manhattan though.
Yeah, it's especially with a cigar.
It's a sweetness thing,
And,
right, Andy?
the old fashioned is just too. It's too sweet for me.
Yeah.
So the Manhattan to me, and when I make them at home, I make them less sweet, right? I use maybe a little
you
less.
Like to taste, yeah, you like to taste the.
I want to taste
liquor.
the whiskey, and that's how I drink cheap whiskey is in a Manhattan.
Yeah, you
know, I've never put a good whiskey in.
What's your favorite bourbon?
You know, a go-to for me is just honestly Bullet.
All right.
I always have Bullet.
Bullet's a good the rye or
the rye.
Yeah,
and I like the Woodford Reserve. I always have those two at my house.
Speaking of that's for you
right
if
now.
you would like some.
Oh yeah, I didn't even see that.
Oh, we got a little bit of ice still left in.
I got a whole box of ice right here.
Okay. Well, shit.
Yeah, I would down this real quick.
Yeah.
Suck it up, man. Come on, let's go.
But yeah, I always have those two at my house for sure, and I love trying. You know what I've really been getting into, and I can't remember any names right now, but the Japanese whiskeys are actually really good.
We got a bottle of Yamazaki. We did a whiskey tasting.
I was calling it Yamakaze.
Yeah, a whiskey tasting at one of the casinos in Reno.
We've been drinking.
And we were invited to this to go and do the video thing. And so, you know, it's $100 a plate, right? And they comp us out on the thing, and everybody gets their raffle ticket. And so at the end of the night, we're pretty punch drunk. And won a goddamn bottle of this Yamazaki. I felt guilty going and picking it up because all these other people had spent, you know, a couple $100, $100 a head there. But this Yamazaki, man, we babied this stuff. Some of the Japanese whiskeys. You ever had a Japanese whiskey, Ken?
No, I don't think I have.
It's
God.
kind of like a Scotch and bourbon
Really?
blended together. The Japanese people, the distillers there actually traveled to Kentucky to try and find out the best of the way on how to make Kentucky bourbon,
right.
And then took the idea back to Japan, and also spent some time in Scotland looking at how to make scotches and blended the two ideas. So
It's
Scott's
good
to be a little
stuff.
too smoky.
We have
sometimes.
actually, and we found actually a couple of months ago a place in Reno that a Asian fusion place, and got to hang in with the owner of the restaurant. And by the end of the night, we're 3 bottles of Japanese whiskey in.
Wow!
Just you got to try this, or you got to try that, or you got to try that. So it was a good time. Yeah. So
why? Let me ask you this. Why Kentucky? Why are the whiskeys?
I think
Prohibition.
Is it like why? Is it like Northern California with the soil for wines? Does it have something to do with it, or is it just they just been?
I think it just goes down through the ages, and I believe there was some certain yeast strains or something like that.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, I just think that everything I've ever read is just
sounds
all
right.
Yeah, it sounds right. James good at that sort of stuff.
We ask him because we figure he's the whiskey expert.
He's gonna make something up that's good. No, I think honestly, if you go back, I bet through Prohibition, you'll find that that's where all the moonshine was run, and so it just happened to be that in Kentucky they were doing a lot of that and oak barrels, and now that the whole oak barrel.
Well, the reason I asked that is
Tennessee,
because
it's different.
Why couldn't it have been Akron, Ohio, or something? Why is it?
We're too busy making rubber, man.
Rubber,
man. Heck yeah, you guys are making tires.
Rubber White Castle and Wendy's.
He is a Cavs fan, and what's interesting, because I'm a big hoops fan, I'm a Lakers fan. What's interesting is this year they're allowing the teams to have a little logo.
Yeah.
And you guys have, is it Goodyear?
We have the Wingfoot.
They have the Wingfoot on their
nice.
uniform.
I was stoked to see that. And because LeBron
It's so Akron. It's awesome.
And Ricky actually went to high school with LeBron.
No kidding.
And every time we're in an interview, we always say whenever that is brought up, we're like, LeBron owns Rick. He owes him lunch money.
Nice.
One day we'll get it back.
One day you'll get it back.
So
with interest, hopefully.
Yeah.
We can always tell out-of-towners to the state of Nevada, because they pronounce it Nevada sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
When somebody says Akron, do you want to punch them in the jaw?
No, we just laugh. I mean, but some people say Akron.
Oh, really?
Akron?
I never heard that.
Really pronounce the O like so. So we always go, I'm Mike Ron from Akron. Whenever somebody does that.
I recently learned taking the Amtrak train through Colorado that is Colorado and not Colorado.
Really?
Colorado. I think I said Colorado.
Yeah.
Which is weird because they say that we have the Akron A's, like that and crap.
Yeah.
It's
real hard A's.
There's an Ohio.
Yeah.
I work for a company and they're based out of Cleveland. So
you know what else my sister pointed out? she goes, you know, another Ohio thing. I don't know if you guys notice this, but like only from people from Northeast Ohio, I swear, when they bump into somebody, they go, "Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Oops.
Ope is always first. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Wow.
And devil strip. You heard of devil strip?
No.
The devil strip.
No.
So you know the patch of grass, and you can Google this. It's only an Akron thing. Between the sidewalk and the street, there's a strip of grass.
Right.
And we call it the devil strip. So like my mom or my dad would be like, "Hey, take the trash out to the devil strip."
Wow.
And until I started traveling, I didn't realize that was not a national thing.
Yeah, we've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it.
Everyone calls it the devil strip.
And if you step on that crack in the sidewalk, you're going to break your mother's back.
And if you step on a line, break your father's spine.
Oh, I had no idea.
Oh, God.
Hey. What do you do for fun, man? I mean, what does a fun day look like, Mike, in your world?
I guess it depends on like the weather or where I'm at. I live in Chicago. If it's, you know, there's days where I want to go like bro down with my buddies and go watch football all Saturday and drink. Yeah. Or there's days where I want to go sit by the lake and write lyrics, or smoke a cigar. You know, being in Chicago with all the restaurants, I love every time there's a new restaurant that opens, like we go try it. And I'm a big foodie in that regard. Just love trying.
So, pineapple and Canadian bacon, is that cool to have on pizza, or hell no?
I like it.
Okay, I like it too.
Yeah. I don't know if it's cool, but I like it.
Oh, New York style pizza or Chicago style pizza?
I like New York better.
So do I. We went to, is it
Illuminati's.
Yeah.
I just it's too much. It's too much
way too much. We had some of their pizza last time in Chicago.
And I'm not a Chicago fan, but I was in Chicago in November.
Yeah.
I go every couple of years. For a trade show out in Chicago, and I had a deep dish thin crust pizza.
Interesting.
Started with Illuminati's.
Yeah, Illuminati's.
Illuminati's. That was a thin crust. It was a thin crust, but it was a deep pizza.
Right.
Versus the big, thick 3 inches of bread you get at Uno or someplace like that.
Right.
My favorite pizza, though, is the simple Italian style with the buffalo mozzarella with the basil. And the real thin.
Yeah.
Is that Sicilian style?
Sicilian.
Yeah, that's my ultimate favorite.
Yeah.
I could eat that every day if I could.
Have you been to Italy before?
Yeah.
I have not been to Italy, but I understand that they laugh when we say we're having pizza over here.
Yeah? Why is that?
Because I guess it's really different.
It's not. Right? Yeah, it's not really as common.
Not like what we.
Yeah, you're never going to see like a Papa John's style where you just order a sheet of pizza. Like that's not very common there. The more of what I just said, which is like a slab of mozzarella on there and basil.
But it's fresher,
spices.
right?
For sure.
Wow.
And I was lucky. I got to do. I went there for a wedding in the northern Barolo region, and the person I went to the wedding, they own a vineyard.
Wow.
In the countryside, and it was the most picturesque thing, and I got to just drink so much wine.
Oh, man.
And so then we made a little trip out of it and did 2 weeks and just kind of roamed around Italy and hit all the...
You a bigger fan of Italian wines or California wines?
California wines are getting very good.
Yeah.
I mean, they've always been good, but I've never really until then, and I saw the process of how wine was being made because we got to visit a lot of vineyards, I started to appreciate and pay attention to more of what I actually liked.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, because we're talking about the NBA, I just read an article about NBA fans, and LeBron is the biggest wine snob
on
the planet.
If you follow him on social media, he's always got a glass of red wine.
Huh.
And matter of fact, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the story was they had a special visit to some of the wineries, and the Cavs, and they spent like a whole evening sampling all these wines that I forget the name of the winery, but apparently he is an absolute wine connoisseur.
Yeah,
he has the money to buy.
Yeah.
The wine, the good wine, right? I mean,
I want to try Maynard's wine.
Oh yeah,
I've had it.
It's
not
good.
incredible. Incredible.
No, it's not that good. It's Arizona, so how good can it be?
See, that's what I thought. It was very interesting that he chose that. I mean, it's different. Makes them different.
Yeah, but we did a review actually of the Arizona Stronghold from him. And again, we are spoiled. We do drink good wine. I mean, it's just it's like anything, right? You get used to drinking good liquor. It's hard to go back, right?
Yeah.
We're used to smoking Cuban cigars now.
Yeah.
It makes it really hard to go to another cigar. Right. It really is the Cuban cigar.
And right now, here on almost the third, I'm getting some of that creaminess, that real earthy.
It's really delicious.
The thing about these
organic.
The Cubans is you don't get that real sharp mineral flavor that you would get from a Dominican Republic, or even a Nicaraguan. I think Nicaragua is probably the closest to a great Cuban cigar. But
Nicaragua's they're strong. There's something that the Cubans are like. You can get a little buzz on it, but it's kind of like what you were saying, Mike. You can either have pizza in America or you can have pizza in Italy. You can have a cigar from somewhere else, or you can have a Cuban.
Right.
There are just certain places that are the essence of.
Well, and I think it's a process. We talked about the way they make pizza in Italy, right? So it's going to be that thin, wonderful dough.
And they don't care what it looks like.
No, it's got to be some sort of flat dough, right?
Yeah.
Olive oil, mozzarella, basil, maybe some tomato slices on there or something. That's what, to me, what a Sicilian
style. Do you guys know about the Italian wine, the tag at the top, the DCGC?
Yeah,
tag?
that's the quality.
Yeah, so if you're looking for Italian wines, like if it's a Chianti or something, for it to be able to be called a Chianti or a Barolo, it has to have that tag at the top. It's a little gray tag. I think it's like DCGC. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's actually a committee that approves it to be representing that region.
In Italy, they approve it, or is it they do it there, right?
Yeah, so if you ever want to, even if it's a cheaper wine, make sure that that's there if you're looking for Italian wine. I learned that there.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've been there. It's awesome.
I didn't like it. I
haven't been there in probably since I was like 5.
I thought it was great. I mean,
it annoyed me.
I'm kind of why did it annoy you?
Because I didn't feel, number one, I don't think that a band like Judas Priest not being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that's like sacrilege. But you can go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and there's Two Live Crew in there, and there's stuff that to me wouldn't necessarily be.
I'm talking about the museum. I'm not necessarily
in the vein
talking
of the Rock
about
and Roll
whether
Hall of Fame.
A band gets voted in or not, which is a total topic. But I'm talking about just the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
There's some cool stuff there. It's like a giant Hard Rock Cafe.
I thought it was cool. I mean,
it is. As you walk around this place, this is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as far as the museum goes.
It really is.
You look around out in front of. I was looking at. I'm a drummer, so I was looking at all the drum kits. Alex Van Halen's kit from 1995.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I'm looking at that kit, going, "Holy crap!" Because when you go to a show, you see him on stage, and it's this big, bright, shiny thing, and this little thing out here in the case, it looks like a piece of crap.
We're definitely gear nerds in this band, and we love when we were opening for a band. And just like seeing what their setup is, like what they're using.
Sure.
We love that. And I know some bands just don't care, but or they're just not that interested in that. But we love seeing that. It's just like so intriguing to see how people are getting sounds.
Strat or Les Paul?
It's interesting that you say that because I've always been a Les Paul guy. I started on a Strat because I was obsessed with Eric Clapton. Mm-hmm. That was my first concert, by the way. And so I had to have a black and white Strat because of Eric Clapton, Cream, and but then I got a Les Paul because I started doing hard rock and the grunge stuff. Mm-hmm. And I just bought a Fender Jazzmaster 1965 reissue.
Nice.
I just love that like spanky sound, and we used it a lot on the record. So I was like, I should probably buy one of these.
That's cool.
So now I've been using both Les Paul and the Fender.
Okay. Yeah. First concert, Andy.
Van Halen.
Van Halen.
Van Halen, 1978.
Okay.
Wow. 9.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm old.
Shit.
And then 2 weeks later, Rush.
Okay.
That's sick.
And Ken?
Oh, man. Mine was, because I'm probably older than all of you. It was the Doobie Brothers and Peter Frampton at Winterland in San Francisco.
Nice.
Wow. My first concert was, first real concert that I remember was Kiss 1977 in San Antonio. But the first concert my mother took me to, I'll try and make this story relatively short. She sees that this band is playing in a place called Sunken Garden Theater. It's a Japanese tea garden down in San Antonio. And so this girl that I thought was cute, Western girl, true Texas family, I think the dad drove a truck for a Frito-Lay or something, right? Parents want to know, hey, where are you taking my daughter? What's going on? My mother goes over and says, oh, I'm just taking them to a concert in the park over at Sunken Garden Theater. So the parents want to get all the whole lowdown, so we go and check out this show. It's Iron Butterfly. And I think it may have been the Inagata de Vida tour. And we're hanging out at this concert, with this very conservative, country and western girl, and my mother and myself, as these guys are smoking doobies next to us. It's the middle of the afternoon. We watched 3 songs. It was the first time I ever heard my mother cuss as we were leaving the venue. My mother was a very attractive woman, and some guy whistled at her. And whistled more than just the quick cat call. It was multiple times. Yeah. My mother finally looked over and said, "Fuck you!" I went, "Whoa!" Wow. So, first concert, Inagata de Vida.
Wow. Inagata de Vida and fuck you with the conservative girl. That's pretty memorable. That's pretty memorable.
Yeah,
that's great.
I don't know what the girl explained to her parents about the show in Sunken Garden Theater, but
so your first concert.
You mentioned Eric Clapton.
Mine was Eric Clapton.
Okay. What a great first show. Oh my gosh.
I was 14 and my mom got me tickets because she still had the connections from working at the Cavs, and it was at the Gund Arena at the time.
Okay.
And so she got us tickets, and I just remember I was just like,
do you remember what year this was, Mike?
This had to have been 2001.
Okay. Wow. How old are you? 22?
No. I guess it was. Yeah, let me think now. Now I'm showing my math skills.
It's all right.
Oh, it's all right.
I'm trying to think when that was. Yeah, because I'm 30.
Okay.
16 years ago.
Yeah.
2002.
There's a really great special, by the way, on Showtime about Clapton.
You were mentioning that.
Life in 12 Bars.
Oh, really? Wow.
Unbelievable. If you're a Clapton fan, whether you're a Clapton fan or not, it's like totally like the history of rock and roll. Him and George Harrison, the whole story behind Layla, which is fantastic. You talk about a life.
Yeah,
that guy went through some stuff, and
totally.
The son and all that.
Oh yeah,
happened.
It's really excellent.
My 14th birthday. No kidding. Tom Jones.
Tom Jones.
I saw Tom
Did you throw a pair of your underwear up at him?
I didn't. My mom didn't even do that. 14th birthday with Tom Jones. Yep.
Well, my bourbon is out. My cigar is getting a little warm. Great cigar, great conversation.
Yeah,
Mike Protich from Red Sun Rising. The new album is called Thread.
Thank you, Mike.
It'll be available for human consumption.
Cheers, thank you.
When is this album out and officially available?
March 30th.
March 30th. Yeah. All right.
We got some songs out now, so go listen.
Yeah, the song Death Wish, incredibly cool. It's definitely a departure from what we heard on Polyester Zeal. It sounds like you guys are really pushing yourselves to switch it up a little bit, and the songs, I have to admit, not necessarily one-listen songs, which can be a good thing for us music hounds who tend to get bored easily with stuff that's a little too poppy. The album's pretty deep.
We're a bit self-indulgent at parts on this record, so.
No, that's cool. Congratulations on everything, Mike. It's Jave, Andy, Ken Anthony. You can look for him at KLOS.com. Are you on the website there, Ken?
Yes.
Okay. And Mike Protich from Red Sun Rising. It's Two Dudes Reviews. Check us out on the website, twodudesreviews.com. That's DOODS. And please, if you can spare a buck, throw a crack our way. Give a donation via Patreon. You can find the link right there at twodudesreviews.com. Another podcast here on Podbean, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, that was